type or species of owl. That is called a burrowing owl. Burrowing owl live in the western United States, primarily west of the Mississippi River, out in open plains and prairies, and in the southwest in desert habitat. And it's called a burrowing owl because they actually nest in burrows underground that are dug by animals like prairie dogs and ground squirrels and so forth. That area, that habitat, can be scorchingly hot during the day, obviously, so underground it's cooler. So that's a better place for them to lay their eggs and raise their young. Here's a barn owl. Now they're called barn owls because they've been known to nest and live in an old barn or building. Now normally or naturally, that's not a normal place for an owl to nest. Barn owls have been around a lot longer than buildings have. Normally or naturally, they nest in a hole in a tree. They're what we call a cavity nester. A big old hole in a dead tree is a nice, dark, safe place for them to lay their eggs and raise their young, offers them protection from ground predators and so forth. So think about it. It's not complicated. They're not building anything. They're not building a nest. They're not constructing anything. That gives them the freedom to move around and nest in a lot of places where another bird couldn't. So the reason they can do that, they can follow the food around. In other words, a farm, an old building that's left unattended, those places often attract mice. Even a building in the inner city that attracts mice, like, all the mice and rats and so forth that gather. These birds fall below. If you can only turn his head a couple of degrees like ours, you can only turn your head, maybe you can touch your chin or your shoulder. He'd have to be constantly fumbling around and spinning around all the time to look in all directions. But with that flexible neck, they have twice the number of vertebrae that we do. He can sit perfectly still, not attract any attention, and look in all directions. Also, keep in mind their eyes. When the bird looks at you, you notice how close together the eyes are. And think of other hunting animals that you're going to see here at the zoo today. Lions, tigers, bears, so forth and so on. All their eyes are always close together. They are focused. Oh. So this bird, this particular owl is called a spectacled owl. And she's called a spectacled owl just because of the look of the bird's face. If she happens to look in your direction, it almost looks like she's wearing a mask. Or a pair of goggles or glasses, which is another name for spectacles. And again, a bird in the rainforest, the jungles of Central and South America. And she's a little nervous. She's more high-strung than a barn owl. So I'm standing. My wife just brought out our great horned owl. Now, the great horned owl is a North American bird. That is a bird that is found literally in every state in the United States. From all the way up into Canada, all the way down into Florida, West California, and Texas. Great horned owls are everywhere. Great horned owl, called that because its brain is large in size. It's one of our bigger owls. And a horned owl, because that bird actually has something that the other owls don't have. It has two tufts of feathers on the top, on the sides of the head. When that bird comes around, you'll see them on top of the head. They're hard to see because she can move. She can lay them down flat or stand them straight up. And that little burrowing owl, as tiny as it was, a good rule, if you're trying to figure out how big a bird is, like everybody thinks that that little burrowing owl is going to get larger, but it's full grown. And the way to tell, a good general rule is that if you see a bird, even if it's hopping around in your yard in the springtime, if its body is completely covered in feathers, it's as big as it's going to get. The wing feathers and tail feathers might grow a little longer to allow it to fly, of course, but it's structurally full grown. This bird is actually the largest species or type of owl in the world, and for that reason it's called an eagle owl. Obviously not an eagle and owl, but it's called an eagle owl because it's almost as large and as powerful. And they live in some of the same habitats in Europe and Asia and catch some of the same prey. It's actually a close cousin to the great horned owl you just saw. And what I'm going to do is reach into my bag and get some little pieces of chicken here, and we'll see if we can get him to come on out here and join us. And I'm going to encourage him using a little noisemaker called a clicker. This goes back to what I said about how important hearing is. Everything we do in training is a reflection of nature, okay, as close as we can. In other words, a young owl out there learns that certain sounds on the ground, by hearing them every night, he learns that they mean food. He learns what does and does not mean food. Well, I taught this owl that this sound, each and every time, means food. So every time he hears this, he focuses on it and comes to it for food. So I'm going to stand over here, hide over here to keep the spot in the shade. Okay, open that box up. Let's see what happens.
Wow.
Now I've got a couple little pieces of chicken here, little tiny rewards, not too much, just a little piece of chicken. I'm just going to peek over there, just checking everybody out. Now all the birds, one of the things that always fascinated me about the birds is how differently they fly. Owls are kind of like a big moth. They have a slow wing beat, very soft, delicate wing beat, and they have very, very soft feathers as well. Up on their prey using the element of surprise. Camouflage or color helps them to do that so they're not seen, and they're flying under the cover of darkness, of course. So they might not have to worry too much about being, he tried to steal it off the glove. Not a nice try. That's a bad habit, we don't allow that, otherwise we'd try to do that every time. You know better, you're going to eat it on the glove. So they might not have to worry so much about being seen, but if they made a loud flapping noise, that prey might see or hear them coming and escape underground and make the job much more difficult. So they tend to fly low and slow so that they can hear the prey, see the prey, and drop on it quickly using the element of surprise. In other words, even if an owl was active during the day, you'd never see one soaring high in the sky like you might see a hawk. It would serve absolutely no purpose for the owl. Ugly. Attaboy. Okay, couple of hawks coming up. Sorry, I forgot about you there. New Mexico and Arizona, called a Harris's hawk. It's actually named after a person from long ago. I will be bringing out our most common large hawk here in the United States, called a red-tailed hawk. So, just for comparison, because again, they come in all shapes and sizes and colors. Here you have a bird that's a little bit smaller with a longer tail that's faster and more maneuverable and heavy cover to catch faster prey. Here you have a much more powerful, muscular bird, able to crash into prey and catch larger prey. And again, red tails are found all over. Every state has red tails. If you ever look up in the sky, focus on the tail. When you see that sun hit that red tail, you'll know what you're looking at. Because we actually do have a lot of different species here in this area. Even right here in Connecticut, there are sharp-shinned hawks, Cooper's hawks, goshawks, broad-winged hawks, red-shouldered hawks, and the red-tailed hawk. So, here's where we're going to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about the training in falconry, because we're going to fly that bird in a few moments. First of all, falconry is what I got involved in as a child. And I became interested and read and studied all I could about it. And when I was 14 years old, I was able to take a test given by the state and got involved myself. And falconry is hunting with a bird of prey. Now, falconry itself started so long ago, actually they don't even know when it started. Again, it gets protein from the meat, calcium from the bone, vitamins and minerals for all the internal organs. Even the fur and the feather of the prey serves a purpose. Whatever they can't digest, like the fur and the bone, becomes a pellet, a little ball in their stomach, and they'll cough that up after a big meal, and that cleans out their stomach. And let's put it this way, they're very efficient when they eat. Now, the equipment that we use is all for the bird's safety and comfort in captivity. They all tell me where that bird is. It's a way to follow the bird by sound. But the most important tool of all, and I can't stress this enough, is the leather hood that they wear on their head. They wear this temporarily, obviously not all the time. They wear it at certain times, like now, like, let's say the bird becomes nervous. Remember, a good experience, not a negative one. Now, it doesn't work so much with owls because they're so much more sound-oriented creatures, and they've never really been flown successfully in falconry. It's used with the falconry birds because they're visually oriented creatures. So, what this bird sees, if it's food, can attract it. But if it's something it doesn't like or doesn't understand, the bird will panic. They react to what they see. They're instinctive creatures, not intellectual ones. Here's an example. This baby stroller. We all know what this is for. I had a Harris's hawk like that one for over 20 years. Every single time I saw a baby stroller, it would just take off and disappear. Half a mile away. Wouldn't come back until the baby stroller was gone. Sounds pretty ridiculous, right? Well, it is. But that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with primitive bird brains. So, always things you got to work your way around when you're training a bird. That's why I always say we handle them as individuals. So the exercise for the bird, we want to show you two things here. Number one, how the bird gets exercise for general health in captivity. Obviously, we all know how important exercise is for us. For the birds, it's even more important because their survival depends on it. In the wild, they need speed and strength and endurance to catch their prey. So like any athlete, they need certain things on a daily basis. They need a good workout, they need practice, good food, good rest. So what we do with this Harrisawk, for example, let's say what I mean by that is if we were going out on a hunt for real, I would take a walk through the forest and the bird would be following me. Now, a rabbit could take off out from under a bush, and we know how fast they can run. That rabbit could disappear in a second, and the hawk will miss the opportunity. So I always want to teach the bird, you need to be close to me. We work as a team. Pay attention and be ready. So this helps to do that. It tries to create a natural scene. So our rabbit is going to stand over there and be in charge of the lure. I'm going to release the bird, and I'll let him fly around a little bit, get warmed up, and figure out what we're up to, first of all, because he's been in the hood since the first show. And then I'm going to give the rabbit a signal. Now, the signal is going to be a silent signal that only we know. The bird doesn't know this. The signal is going to be me raising my hand straight over my head. When she sees that, her job is to run out here in the middle of the grass and try to avoid the hawk. And we're going to see how far she gets. Now, keep in mind, she doesn't have a lot of room to work. She can't go very far. So it's not going to be, she got twist and turn and so forth. But we want to try to challenge the bird as best we can. Now, the bird knows a couple of simple commands. Once he's up there in the tree, you might hear me yell, up, up, move up, follow. But the most important command of all is the bird's name. I use his name when it's time to catch the lure or a real rabbit. I want you to do that for me. I'm going to tell you the bird's name. And when I raise my hand, now this is very important, when I raise my hand and only when I raise my hand, everybody shout the bird's name one time as loudly as you can. And when I say loud, don't be shy. Scream it at the top of your lungs. The louder it is, the more excited he gets about it. There are times when he's off in the woods looking in the wrong direction and a rabbit takes off and I shout his name, he spins around, comes flying in this direction, sees it and chases it. Otherwise he'd miss it completely. So be loud. His name is Rip. R-I-P, Rip. First, I'm going to take it off. The first thing he does is look at the glove. Where's my food? Okay, it's not there, so it looks like we're going to have to chase it. So he'll walk into the tree. And remember, you can't see him. Over this direction. Now keep in mind that there's a lot of animals out there. There's chipmunks running around the zoo, there's little birds flying around, and he's constantly hunting. He's looking for all of that motion. So more than once, he's taken off chasing something, and I've had to go see what he was after over there. He's in a nice high spot there. And I like him to be in a high spot because that teaches him he's got a good view from up there and he gets good speed coming from above. So here we go. His name, remember, when my hand goes up. Ready, go. Gotta go faster than that. Once he catches the lure, naturally he's eating his lure, but also notice how he postures over the food. He's just covering it up. He doesn't want you to see it. He's protecting his feet. He's protecting his food, that's all. And what will happen is, Teddy will go over and offer him another reward on the glove. In other words, we would never just go and take the lure away from the bird or take the real rabbit away from the bird. He'd consider that stealing. Now, people often ask me, well, why doesn't he just fly away? Why doesn't he come back here? Well, he comes back because he trusts us. He knows we never take, we always give. We work together. We're a team. He's constantly reminded of that. So he gets the rest of his meal on the glove. Don't worry about that. Okay, she's going to take him back in the barn. So the first thing people wonder is what could they possibly have to do with birds of prey? Why doesn't the hawk catch one of the dogs and all that other good stuff? Well, first of all, the hawk and the dogs are trained together before we ever go out into the field. That's one thing. Second of all, the bird learns exactly what the dogs are doing. And what the dogs are doing is the most important thing possible. They're finding the prey for the bird to catch. Let me make it as simple as possible. Raise your hand if you have a dog at home. Okay. So we all know dogs make wonderful pets for a number of reasons. They're very social creatures. They're very loving in nature. They're very giving. They like to please and so forth and so on. Not to mention super smart, intelligent. Okay? Well, guess what? A lot of the breeds that you see out there, and if you watch a dog bird, that is not a baby. It is full grown. It just happens to be our smallest. To sit on the power line because they stare down into the ditch and in the field looking for bugs and small birds and mice and meadow voles and so forth. They're also cavity nesters. And I begin swinging his lure around and around. Now I don't use the rabbit lure, obviously. They catch birds, so I use a bird lure. And again, he knows this isn't real, but he doesn't care. He knows when he catches it, he gets a reward. It's a moving target to make him get his exercise for the day. So I stand out there in the open and I swing it around and around, and the bird comes at me as fast as he can, and he tries to take the lure away. Well, when he gets close to me, I'll throw the lure right at the falcon, but I won't actually let him catch it. I'll throw it away, and I'll pull it away at the very last second. And his speed will carry him past me, and he'll make a big circle, do a lap, come back at me at high speed. And once again, as he gets close, I throw it out and I pull it away. Over and over, lap after lap. Sometimes I'll hide it behind my back and he'll pause directly above me and turn into a perfect vertical dive, and I can throw the lure up and pull it away.
Wow.
It's an aerobic workout, like a runner who does laps. I'm forcing him to do his laps in the sky, building endurance. And when the time is right, I allow him to catch the lure, take it to the ground. He gets his measured meal for the day. I can't do that here. The reason is, all of these obstacles. My bird comes high overhead and folds into a dive. He'll be coming down through here at top speed. There is no way he's going to be able to avoid things like you, who could end up in your lap at 80 miles an hour. He could end up hitting the fence, the trees, the barn. Too many obstacles. They usually try to hunt safely above the tree line whenever possible. You guys watch that movie Top Gun. They talk about the hard deck. Right? An invisible line that the pilots aren't supposed to go below because it's much more dangerous. Any miscalculation down there, they crash that plane. Well, falcons kind of have a hard deck too. They like to stay at a certain height for safety. What I can do is call him in here at speed from a distance. You notice my wife disappeared. She took him down to the other end of the compound. She's kind of down there by, I think, the snack bar, I think it is. And she's got him, and she's going to unhood him in a moment. And I'm going to begin swinging his lure right in here, and we're going to see if we can get him to come zipping in here and catch the lure in front of you. Now, when I say catch the lure, timing is important. I don't want him to miss it this time, because if he misses the lure, he's going to be headed straight at that barn. Obviously, that's what we're trying to avoid. So I'm going to put that lure right in front of him so he catches it, and I can guide him to the ground, hopefully. Okay? His name, by the way, I want you to call his name. When I count to 3, his name is Daredevil. Okay, Daredevil. Okay, first of all, let my wife know. Take the hood off. Okay, hood's coming off. People are walking in the way as usual. Completely ignoring what we're doing. Gotta love it. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Daredevil!
Oh, he's on his way. I know you can't see that, but trust me, he'll be here in a second.
Wow!
Tight turn, tight turn, tight turn! Nelly makes a turn!
Woo!
See, so he hit the lure, and I was hoping he was going to hold on to it, but he hit it hard enough that he had fun. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the birds. Enjoy your time here at the zoo. Thank you very much for coming out. Come see us again, okay? Thank you.